country of explosives in handheld devices like walkie-talkies, mobile phones, or pagers a war crime?
It depends how you use it. Israel has had a long history of using personal electronics as a means of assassination. I think one of the earliest examples was in 1996 when Israel used a cell phone to take out a Hamas bomb maker known as the Engineer. They were able to use a variety of techniques to get the cell phone in his hand, and when it rang and he answered it, Israeli operatives were able to ascertain that he alone was on the phone, and then they detonated the explosives that blew off his head, but only he died. And Israel has used similar tactics to take out individuals. The legality of targeted assassinations up to, states. We know in the United States, the president of the United States apparently can kill anybody he wants to without due process, and the Israelis believe the same thing. But that's one thing. What occurred in Lebanon was something completely different. This is where Israel infected society with devices that society is conditioned to bring in as part of normal everyday operations: pagers, handheld radio, walkie-talkies, etc., and then detonated them at the same time in an indiscriminate fashion. They had no idea who was on the receiving end. They could make assumptions that because these were procured by a Hezbollah procurement agent for the purpose of enabling communication between political and military components of Hezbollah, that there's a good chance a Hezbollah operative would be on it. It's not guaranteed. What if the device was on the counter and the wife heard it and picked it up? What if a child picked it up? What if the husband had it on his hip next to the child? This is indiscriminate act of terror. That's what it is. It's a war crime in the extreme. No American CIA director would ever approve an operation like this. No American president would sign off on this. Nobody in the United States would touch this because it is, by definition, an act of terror, a war crime.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights is in full agreement with you, Scott. Cut number 8.
It is a war crime to commit violence intended to spread terror among civilians. I call again for an independent, thorough, and transparent investigation into the circumstances of these explosions. Those who ordered and carried out these attacks must be held to account.
Did Netanyahu order these attacks? Could this possibly have been done without his consent?
No, the way the Israeli national security hierarchy works is that this would have to have been signed off by the prime minister and I believe at least 2 other people in his war cabinet or in his cabinet. This is not something that the prime minister alone can authorize. It has to be done with, I believe, at least 3 people in the chain of command. It cannot be done without their approval. So this is something that Benjamin Netanyahu signed off on.
And was it likely done by Mossad or the IDF? And if by Mossad, is this intended to prod a reluctant IDF into entering Lebanon militarily?
Well, I believe that Mossad worked together with a unit in the IDF called 8200. That's the Israeli NSA, National Security Agency. They're cyber warfare people. They're electronic warfare people. They have specific capabilities in this area. But this isn't just about modifying a pager or a walkie-talkie. This was an intelligence operation that was years in the making that probably cost millions, many millions of dollars. It required the near totality of Mossad's operational capabilities to set up a front company covertly in Europe to manufacture and then get into the supply chain, commercial electronic products that are viable on the commercial market. Remember, they had to convince a Hezbollah procurement officer that they had the product and it was safe to do. So this took years, many years to plan. And so it was a capability, I believe, that Israel was holding in reserve for a war with Hezbollah. This is a one-time use deal. You get to do this one time, You don't get to replicate it. They used it, and then they didn't follow through. So I think that this was designed not